Welcome back to Southern Life. We're going to continue to review immigration arrests in Florida. In Sarasota County, this 44-year-old man from El Salvador, who is not a U.S. citizen, was arrested and charged with battery on specified personnel. He has an ICE immigration hold. He lives in Arcadia, Florida. Battery on specified personnel can be a firefighter, somebody with law enforcement, a security guard, a bus driver. It's anybody engaging in public services. Word of advice, if you're living in the United States illegally, hitting one of these people is probably the quickest way to get a deportation hold. He claims his occupation is being disabled, but despite being disabled, he was able to give somebody a beatdown. Imagine being illegal in the United States and putting your hands on people who are part of public order. The 69-year-old homeless man was arrested for drinking in public, open container, in the Venice area of Sarasota. His bond was set at only $50. He got out and like a week later was arrested by the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office for a failure to appear. He's listed as a citizen of Cuba and not a U.S. citizen. If he's not a U.S. citizen and he's homeless, drinking on the streets, and not showing up in court, it is possible that this Cubano could soon face a deportation. At 69 years old, homeless and drinking on the streets of Venice, not a U.S. citizen, there isn't much going on for him here in the United States. 61-year-old Richard from Bradenton was arrested in Sarasota County for exposing himself. Nobody wants to see that, but he's a U.S. citizen. He can't be deported. There's no bond on him. This 33-year-old was arrested in Northport, Florida. He is from St. Martin. This is the second person that we have had on our YouTube channel that's arrested from this small Caribbean island. The last one got a deportation hold. He's being charged with kidnapping, obstructing justice, battery, and resisting an officer. He's not listed as a U.S. citizen, and if that were the case, with these types of charges, he's definitely getting deported. Also in Northport, a 74-year-old Polish man was arrested for larceny. He does not have U.S. citizenship status according to the Sarasota County arrest log. If he is not a U.S. citizen, a citizen of Poland, and he is being arrested for larceny, he could face a deportation. There's a lot of Europeans in Sarasota County. A lot of them are in the Northport area. Southern Sarasota has a huge European community. Most of them are great law-abiding people. Once in a while you get guys like this. They are usually really well off economically, so an arrest for larceny is kind of strange for somebody who in theory should be well off if he's European living in Sarasota County. It seems like a really small crime, petty theft, but these days, if you're not a U.S. citizen, that is enough to get you deported. That's H&R Block telling me that my tax return has been approved and that I now owe the U.S. government an unholy amount of money. I've never really been in this situation before. This has been really a tough year for me and Katie. 18 years old from the United Kingdom arrested in Northport for driving under the influence. There seem to be a lot of Europeans getting in trouble in the Northport area. We're starting to see many more Europeans being arrested, particularly in the southern half of Sarasota and in Northport. The European community here has never really been that much of a problem, but it seems like as of recently, we're starting to see a lot of arrests of Europeans. Now, 18 years old with a DUI, not a citizen of the United States, this young man will very likely see a deportation if he doesn't leave voluntarily. He lists his occupation as working in construction. You guys remember a while back I made a video talking about how many of the people who are living illegally in this area are not Latin Americans but Europeans, and a lot of people laughed at me and called me crazy. I think you're starting to see with some of these new wave of arrests of Europeans exactly what I was telling you guys, that it isn't just Latin Americans. The only difference is because most people are only basing their immigration views on their racist and prejudiced profiling. They're not aware how many people that look white are actually living illegally in the United States. They're not U.S. citizens. But again, both law enforcement and the public perception in general is based off of nothing more than racial profiling, not on actual legal status. I was heavily criticized for those statements, But here we are looking through these arrest records today, and we're seeing more Europeans than Latin Americans getting arrested who are not U.S. citizens. Homeless man arrested by the city of Sarasota with possession of synthetics. Horrible stuff. U.S. citizen, not deportable, born in New York, living homeless in Florida. U.S. citizen from Palmetto, Florida was arrested by the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office for a carjacking. This is like the third carjacking this week in this area. Seems like that's starting to be a new wave of crimes. 53-year-old Cuban woman, not listed as a U.S. citizen, was arrested on the north side of Sarasota for a domestic battery causing harm. Like most Cubans who are not U.S. citizens, if she is not legally established, she could easily face a deportation for a violent crime. 30-year-old Mexican national arrested in Sarasota with no valid driver's license while operating a motor vehicle. He already has an ICE immigration hold out of Pinellas County, so he will be deported. This Cuban guy from Hialeah who's already jammed up with a bunch of fraud type charges in the Sarasota area just picked up even more charges. This one is for larceny. This individual's been committing economic crimes in the Sarasota area. He's not listed as a U.S. citizen. On a recent video, I talked about his situation, living a luxury lifestyle at the expense of all the people he's defrauding. It seems like he continues to pick up more charges in this metropolitan area. I don't know what his legal status is, but if you saw the criminal charges he was facing and that he continues to get more charges, you'd think if he's not a U.S. citizen, he'd get deported by now. Since he was committing an onslaught of economic crimes on a large scale, it's possible that they're trying to drain his resources before they deport him. Cuban woman, not listed as a U.S. citizen, arrested for larceny out of Northport. 42 years old, listed as a caregiver. Could you imagine somebody taking care of elderly people and she's got a little issue with stealing people's personal property? What a horrible combination. She's entrusted with taking care of the elderly, but here she is stealing from them. We recently had a Brazilian woman in Lakewood Ranch who was doing cleaning for people as well, and she was also arrested for stealing jewelry. So there seems to be a problem that's very common in this area. You hire somebody to clean your house and they steal from you. Unfortunately, not enough U.S. citizens want to do these jobs, so many times people hire foreigners, and while the overwhelming majority of them are great people, it sucks that there's individuals like this that screw up people's reputation. She's not listed as a U.S. citizen. She could very easily be deported. Mexican national arrested by the Sarasota Police Department. This guy committed a burglary and on top of that damage to property. He has 2 ICE immigration holds. He's getting deported. Imagine that. You're in the United States, you're not legally, and you're breaking and entering into people's properties. He is the first person by the Sarasota Police Department that I've seen getting arrested and getting an ICE hold. I may be able to get the body cam footage off this guy for you guys. This would be our third Cuban woman who's not a U.S. citizen facing charges in Sarasota. She could easily be deported. She was with the other Cuban guy that did the larceny. So these are a couple. They got arrested together on a bunch of economic crimes. And well, she's also getting that larceny charge as well. So these are individuals who were working together to commit economic crimes, and they just got hit with another crime. So it looks like detectives are doing a little bit more background research and finding more cases that they were involved in. These are just some of the individuals who within the last 48 hours are facing deportation, arrest in the Sarasota area. A lot of Europeans and a lot of Cuban women. Not everybody we've gone over on today's video will get arrested and charged with an ICE deportation hold, but a lot of the individuals we're talking about here are people who could eventually end up getting an ICE deportation hold. Some individuals, their crimes are bad enough to where they immediately get the ICE deportation hold. Others, they have to wait a little bit. The ones that are engaging in economic crimes, I think the strategy is to arrest them, bail them out, arrest them, bail them out, to drain their resources because they've been committing a lot of economic crimes. And every time they get arrested, there's a new lawyer, there's a new charge, there's a new bail. And I think the tactic with people who commit economic crimes is just to kind of drain their resources before they deport them. But individuals who are kind of indigent, they get deported right off the bat. And that's just my assumption, because I do believe that many people who commit economic crimes are slowly and periodically draining society. So when they get caught, they don't want to deport somebody who could be sitting onto a lot of money and just be able to get away with a lot of money. So those types of individuals, like the ones that commit economic crimes, it kind of makes sense to detain them and prolong the process and drain them out and drag it along to kind of drain their resources before they deport them.